because it addresses all aspects of life. And I was telling someone recently how scripture talk about finances more than heaven and hell. So you can imagine how big finances are, and also into ventures, the things that we should do every day.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So karibu sana.
Thank
Maybe
you.
just tell us a little about yourself before we can dive in.
Great. Yeah, and my name is James Wanyugi, a financial advisor, licensed and all that. And I love talking about money Monday to Friday or Monday to Monday. I also do a lot of businesses on the side.
Okay.
So this topic is really core in my heart. You know, like I'm not preaching water and drinking wine. And I'm so passionate about this topic. And thank you for having me this morning. And as I said, my name is James Wanyugi. I'm a father, a husband to a beautiful wife. I know she is listening in somewhere. And yeah, I'm glad to be here and blessed to be on air at Hope TV, Hope FM. I think I'm so used to be on Hope TV for a while. So it's still in my mind,
All right.
but I'm super grateful.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
So let's get to discuss this a little bit further. The biblical, foundation of 7 ventures. You said the Bible talks about finances quite a lot.
Quite a lot.
Let's dive into that just a little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as I said, I usually ask myself, why does the Bible doesn't leave us on the, in the darkness concerning money and investments? It's because every day we wake up, and there are so many scriptures about God blesses the labor of our hands. God has promised to be with us, either when we are drinking, when we are enjoying life, when we are laboring. And I think this is really cool to actually know that God supports us even when we are multitasking few jobs here and there. And I think later we may talk about misconceptions about, do I stick to one job? Is it okay for me to venture into something on the side? Does the scripture address these issues? And when you read about the Ecclesiastes chapter 11 from verse 2, and I think this is a core place where every Christian can tag in and say, by the way, it's possible actually to cast my bread in many waters. It's good to invest more than one venture and all that. And there's a book I read, I think it's Purpose Driven Life, where he was saying each person is wired to maybe 600 gifts. You are so wired, you have so much you can do with yourself. If you look around how God has wired you, there is so much that you can do from that. And that is where now we come to narrow down into knowing where do I start and where are my skill versus my profession, because those are two different places. Do I stick, profession is where you rauka every day, and maybe you're actually in business, because sometimes we assume anyone who is being addressed here is just someone who is in an employment, but actually someone could be having a business. Do I scale to another? Do I go to another business? This addresses to guys across all these areas of life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you sort of have read into my notes, because I was going to ask,
Yeah.
who is this for, in a sense? I don't know if you've heard people say that, Mimi, I was not cut out for biashara.
Yes.
Mimi siwezi ajiriwa.
Mimi, and there are others who say, Mimi siwezi kwa employed.
Yes.
So who are these ventures for?
Yeah, and that's a good question. I usually say this is for everyone, because we usually divide it into 3 categories, where we talk about active income. Maybe someone has a 9, we call it 8 to 5, or depending on the time you get in your job, 9 to 5, that is active employment. There are guys who are into freelancing. We are in a gig economy where someone just stays in their house, they do a gig, and there are so many avenues out there. Maybe someone is into consulting. These are the major area, because it involves James or Sharon or Frank actively, like you have to be there for it to move on. And then there are guys who now go to business income. These are now where we talk about side hustles. I talked about looking at what are you natural at, what is that topic that you can talk endlessly. Like if someone starts a conversation with you, you can talk about that thing endlessly. That is an area where now you're able now to realize, by the I think I can do something about this. Or we talk about the third category, the passive income, where someone says, by they have been in employment, now I'm diversifying into other areas. So basically this is for everyone who is out there. And I said maybe later we can address about misconception, because there are people who believe I cannot do anything else above what I do from 9 to 5 and all that. And those are the guys that I call guys who are in active income. Yeah.
All right. Is it? I don't know if it's possible to have a breakdown of these 7 streams, because somebody's wondering now.
Yeah.
I know you've talked about active, passive, and all that. Would you want just to talk a little bit about the 7 streams? Because somebody's wondering, I'm only employed. This is the only thing I can do.
Yes.
What else can I do?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I talked about I'm into finances and financial advice and talking to groups on matters finances, how to manage finances. And on the other hand, I'm so passionate about cars. So I can talk about cars from Monday to Monday.
Okay.
And out of that, I realize this is a passion I have. How do I scale this now from my profession now into a skill, something that I'm so good about, and now I diversified from that. I'm also a communicator.
Okay.
I realize there is a dimension of me where I address crowds, I address people here and there. I started now, like entering into trainings and all that. On the other hand, I realize God has given me a heart of has compassion.
Okay.
I started going to, and again, these are the areas where we look at how do I add value into what God has given me. I venture into bits and pieces of counseling and seeking professional counseling courses here and there to add value into that. Along the way, it's like I start in one area and it keeps on branching and branching and branching along the way. I have a business in branding. I have an eye in colors and designs and all that.
Yes.
That again, it's another stream of income. It's like maybe if I would address it this way, it's like torrents of rain forming streams along the way.
Okay.
And I call this area of spreading into 7 ventures like streams that starts maybe uphill. They come into feeding into one main river, because at the end of the day, finances and streams, it's like it's not an ocean. It's a river that flows. Everything is flowing. And there are those ventures that will be seasonal. There are rivers that are seasonal. At some point, maybe you have a business that gives you an income once per month, once per 2 months, once every quarter, once every day, like it's streams that are feeding to one big river. And this is where now we start now having flows into maybe 5, 7 different streams along the way. And when I look at my business, like my car business, I ride more on referrals. I've done this for the past 7 years.
Okay.
No, actually 12 years to be very specific.
Wow.
Along the way, I have so many referrals. I delivered last month. There's one coming up. There's always something coming up. I don't advertise.
Okay.
So I can call this a stream that is seasonal into monthly basis. Sometimes I'm doing 2, sometimes 3. Sometimes I have 2 months that I'm not delivering a car. So these are streams that it's a seasonal river that flowing into this main river that is helping me to move along life. And maybe that is what I would say would be eventually results to 7. There's a guy I was talking to. He's into a place where now one of the streams have overtaken even the 9-to-5 income.
Okay.
And this is a place where he was saying, I no longer look at my payslip. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I've automated several businesses, and I can be able to actually say the last time I touched my 9-to-5 salary was like 7 months ago. And I think this is where we should arrive eventually.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you're talking about, he's mentioned something about there's things you do easily, like just talking and
So
maybe you
natural.
monetize.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I actually wanted to find out. Now that thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah. You're welcome.
When you bring it out that way, we are able to see it in better light. Now, how do you discover
Yeah.
what it is that you can do or venture in? You talked about the area of profession, the area of skills and talents.
Yeah.
How do we build on that so that we move away from, just one source of income?
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And I think the first place is to look at how your 9-to-5 looks like. Because I advise people, at the end of the day, we are stewards to what God has given us.
Absolutely.
If it's competing with what I've been endowed by God to do from my 9-to-5, then you realize now I need to back off from that. If it's competing from, because I'm saying this because recently, I think up to last year, I had 2 jobs, my financial consultancy and advising. And I had another job, guys who approached me and told me, James, can we take 20 hours of your week? and then we'll be paying this amount of money. It was a good job. It was giving me like medical covers and so many benefits, and it helped me to tour the world, like Europe and wherever, a few places that I went. But eventually I realized it's competing with my main job. Actually, I had to drop it along the way because I realized I'm being dishonest in one area.
Okay.
So those are, maybe that is one of the factors that I advise guys whenever you are going into branching into these side hustles. Are they competing with your main profession? If not, how can I then delegate? Can I maybe start it and then delegate along the way, and then you realize I can manage it offline or in a certain hour during the evening hours and all that. So that again, it's not one is not eating into the other. And again, I talk about burnout because sometimes we multitask so much until you realize you no longer have enough time.
Yes.
I've experienced people in my profession that maybe they sleep for 3 hours because once you're from 9 to 5, you enter into your side hustle to manage how it's going, keeping record and all that. Is it actually sucking life out of yourself and all this? So these are the areas where I'm talented, but again, I come to a place of, is it competing with my time and with my profession? And maybe another thing is to consider over time, maybe in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, is it actually breaking even? Because I usually say if a side hustle is within 6 months it's not making profit, maybe it's becoming a hobby. If you maintain it above 6 months, then it will become a hobby rather than maybe something that is giving you income.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
So if you've done something for 6 months,
Yes, so it will become a hobby. It will suck every coin from your life. And then unless it's a hobby and you're able to sustain that with a lot of passion, then it's not a business.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
all right. So let's build a little bit more on this. So how do I find out
Yeah.
what it is I will venture in? What do I look for
Yeah.
before I can decide this is it?
Great. And I think, again, as I said, maybe we're in a place where, in my days, I'm a bit, my age, I'm around 45. There's a time we talked about simu ya jamii, and there are businesses that come seasonal, they come and go, they come and go. And sometimes we venture into businesses because they are common, which is actually opposite of what we should be looking at. Rather than looking at, is it a business that clicks in my heart, rather than what is trending out there? Because if it's trending out there, most likely it's like a bubble. You remember the coil businesses.
business.
There are so
that
many
was big.
yes, and people burn their fingers because you ran into it because you saw everyone going there.
Yes.
But actually, rather than taking stock and realizing is there a gap in the market? Is there a problem people are trying to solve in the market? We're in a place where people are talking about, maybe you can look at the field of maybe counseling, mental health. What are people suffering from? What are people complaining about in the market? Which gap can I come and fill, rather than looking at what is common there in the market? So I think it boils down into not looking into what is common, but rather what am I passionate about? Because there's someone who said that if you like your hustle, you will never actually work even a day. You're that passionate. It is so natural. It is so easy for you. It's like you almost enjoy doing it every day.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is what I would say. Like, before I go out there and look at what I will do, I look inside first into myself. Yes.
So it calls us to a journey of discovery, right?
Yes,
Because
sure.
you need to understand, like you were talking earlier, your gifts and talents and things that you can easily do.
Yeah.
Okay, so then maybe we can get into, you alluded to misconceptions.
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
Great. Yeah. So there are several misconceptions out there. And there are people who say, a good job provides me a lifetime security. Where you realize someone is saying, James, I think I'm okay. I don't need a side hustle. And jobs come, no matter how a stable job is, we need to realize it can end anytime. And that's a reality of life.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's a very big misconception where we have banked on so much, and I think we grew up knowing there are several careers like in our minds. I think when I was growing up, banking was really big. I want to be an accountant, be where money is flowing and all that. But eventually people realized that no matter how big a job is, it will never be sufficient like in freedom. And then another misconception is that a higher salary means financial freedom, which actually is wrong. A higher salary is good, but actually we realize we need actually to start thinking about how can we branch out, no matter how big it is. Can I start giving my money some job to start doing another job?
Okay.
And that is where we talk about passive income. Can I start growing a passive income stream where my money will be making me more money? And then another thing that people have about misconception about side hustles is that my pension will take care of me in retirement. And sometimes, yes, it's good. Pensions are good.
Yes.
But can they be sufficient to run a lifestyle that you are in? And one thing I usually advise people, because I'm into this field, I usually advise people, what is that thing that you can do maybe along the way that by the time you are retiring, it's already almost giving you an income, so that you are retiring from your profession, but you didn't retire from having that stream that I talked about.
Okay.
That stream is still active. Another thing is that side hustles are only for people who are struggling. There are people who have that misconception. Yeah, sure. Because people think...
Are you struggling, my brother?
Yeah. So if Frank lives here at work at the time he checks off, and then he runs into an error, someone can think this guy
Anapata tabu.
yes, which is a bad misconception. The guy is smart, and I think we need to deal with this. And actually, I really admire guys who are into 3, 4, 5 streams.
Yes.
And I think I had an uncle allow me to share
Please.
this. And this guy was a technical school teacher in Western Province. And this guy, along the way, he employed my mother into a dry cleaner. And this is a dry cleaner that someone would fuango at the back
Yes.
and then dry them somewhere. Eventually, he bought machines, and then later he became a full dry cleaner.
Yes.
And this guy, down the line, he started a matatu business that multiplied into 7 matatus, all new. Of course, he started with a very old one. And by the time he retired, he had flats, he had still matatus are still there today. He has trucks. The dry cleaner is still there. He retired, I think, 2-3 years ago. But this guy, if you say he has retired, you will never tell. But he ran side hustles.
Okay.
All throughout.
Yeah.
And then guys talk about, I don't have time for multiple income streams.
Yes,
We
that's
think,
common.
yes. So
Yeah, where do I find the time?
where do I find the time? But I usually say time is created. We are in gig world where I remember one time we were heading into a Valentine's Day with my wife, and we decided to do some branding work. And we advertised on Facebook. And I remember that Valentine's week, we paid our rent off branding. Send your photo, we brand this, and then you collect in town. If outside of town, we will only deliver this day, and you pay delivery fee. And I think delivery fee became so much,
Yes.
we just had to put everything in the car and drop along the way.
Okay.
We created time, and we told everyone this is the only day we do deliver. So I'm looking at it no matter how busy you are,
Yes.
just work around your timings and all that. And then another thing is that my employer will always take care of me. That is another misconception people have. Realizing and yeah, they are very good employers nowadays. Actually, some of them are so good. Sometimes it's so easy to be comfortable because
Yes.
it's stress-free.
Yeah.
But sometimes we realize the clock is ticking, and within no time, our energy actually to start doing other things will be too late. And then another thing is that I can always get another job if I need. You see, where you realize if I'm out of this work,
Yes.
immediately
I still
Come
have the
on.
skills.
yeah, I still have the skills, and then
And I'm good at it.
I'm good at it. And then you realize there are young guys coming up with more skills. You realize if I'm nimechorwa job leo,
Yes.
and then you realize by the way, 1 year down the line, mambo imeinama.
Yes.
So these are the few places that we need to address. And these are maybe the questions that each one of us who is listening out there, we need actually to start thinking about. If you have a safe job, an amazing job, it's good. But let us start building that extra side hustle. Keep your money to a place where it's making more money as you also work
Yes.
and bringing in money.
All right.
That way, along the way, we will be able to venture into something.
Okay.
Yes.
A quick one, Frank.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about people say, and I think this is pretty common. I don't know. You can tell me. You're the expert here. That the money I have,
Yeah.
or the amount of money I'm getting from my active income from my 8 to 5 job,
Yeah.
is not enough to open up a business.
Yeah.
What do you tell us?
Now, I usually say if James is not saving from my 9 to 5, no matter how, and I know things are really tough nowadays,
Yes.
but I usually say,
Shisha.
yes, there's someone who say that our payslip is like a supermarket, like receipt, where there are so
very low
many
deductions.
deductions.
Yeah.
But still, even if it's still that tough, if you're not saving money, you are living above your means.
Okay.
And I think there are sessions we did in Hope TV where we were helping people to budget and like allocate, give your money name, track where your money is coming from, where your money is going. That way you will be able to realize, if I need a side hustle, how much of this money, because we talk about 20% save and put it into your future, how long can I build that to help me start a side hustle? And also know that there are side hustles you don't actually need an income. You don't need actually savings.
Okay.
There's recently I went to Kamukunji at some point, and I realized there are guys who are there partnering with guys who import shoes. They take photos, they have maybe a landing page online. They have Gigi, if I can mention names, they have these online shops. You post and then you deliver and then you go pay whoever has the product.
Yes.
And sometimes I said, if you don't work on Saturday, can you get orders and tell guys we only deliver on Saturdays? So there is no reason nowadays to say that I cannot have an extra side hustle.
You don't have
Actually,
capital.
that I don't have capital.
It's
no.
not an excuse
It's
anymore.
not an excuse. When I started my car importation business, my passion, I got someone who mentored me into it. So I guide my clients, pay this to the company in Japan after negotiation, and they find what you need and all that.
Yes.
So I don't invest any money there. I just guide them until they get the vehicle on their hands, and then I get my pay. I don't need capital for that. So there's no reason to say that.
just need yourself.
You need yourself and come out of your comfort zone.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Now, talking about now somebody beginning to think of having this side hustle and other income streams.
Yes.
What should they expect in terms of investment, in terms of effort? What should somebody expect?
Yeah, and that's a good question. For me, expect that it will not be easy from the word go. Because sometimes we usually think James is talking about this side hustles, about that guy who started this and things went, like straight. There will be that struggle initially. But as long as you are able to track every shilling and every coin, so that if there is any hole that is leaking, you're able to seal it quick enough. You're able to adjust whatever needs to be adjusted. Just realize that it will not be as easy, but over time you actually will be able to realize by the graph is moving in a certain direction. And that way you will be able now to realize, do I scale or do I drop it? I said if it's not taking off in the first 6 months or maybe 6 to 8 months, be humble enough to drop it. Because sometimes we again start things that we tunakufa nazo, because you don't want to the shame of seeing
What
letting your
people
guys
say.
be humble enough to drop it if you realize it's not taking off, and again take the other one. And we say that invest in these 7, you don't know which one may take off. And I know there are people who have tried several things. There are guys who almost have a magical, they touch something and it takes off. But usually if you look at the richest people in our economy, the best companies within our economy, they have diversified in almost in every industry, because they have identified, how do I scale? After a certain hustle has reached to a certain area, can you delegate and now try to venture something that is related to that? And I think by the grace of God, he will always give us hints and prompts, and you will always see gaps within wherever we are living in. I remember a guy who used to go to Gikomba and men's shirt, buy at a 200, iron nicely, come and sell into offices at 1,000, 1,200.
Wow.
I interacted with someone with a very big business here in, I think, Biashara Street. And she told me he started into hawking mutumbas into offices. Now she has 2 shops within the same street. So most of these businesses we admire, if you are given us the backstory of how they started, you will be amazed. So for me, it's just to identify where you want to go, just be there to pay the price, and then eventually delegate and then keep on moving into the next direction.
So is it a point of, having to begin with a step of faith?
Yes.
That I'm beginning this way,
Yes.
but I know God will come through.
Actually, business is entirely faith.
Okay.
You may not have maybe realized it, but the moment you are starting something, you are hoping someone will ask me by the knock on my door and ask me by the, can I have this, can I have that? Actually, it's an act of faith and risk. We take every step of our lives. It's risk. Actually, moving from your house and knowing I will arrive at Hope FM.
Yes.
It was a risk, actually.
Yeah.
Things will happen along the way. So even in business, it's the same way. We take risks. We ask questions, because the Bible again says that in the multitude of counselors, people don't go astray.
Yes.
Can you seek information to someone you know who has done it? And I know sometimes it can get tricky, because people think maybe they will compete with me and all that. But can we be bold enough actually to also ask questions and consult from people? Yes.
Wow.
Wow. Such an eye-opening and interesting conversation we're having right here with James. We will take a very quick business break, but we'll be back in a few. If you have a question or comment, feel free to write to us. The number is 20933. You can reach us at Hope FM Live across our socials, and you can also write to us on WhatsApp 0717 400 555.
The Corporate Hub on Activate. Your catalyst for economic growth.
Absolutely, just 14 minutes to 9. It is the 6th of February, the year 2025. Being a Thursday, you know, it's all about the Corporate Hub. And today we're having this is James Wanyugi in studio, who's a financial advisor.
Right. So before we proceed on, we have a few comments that I will read in a short while. Great topic. All right, someone wants to get in touch. We will give you information on how to get in touch. But you say, loving the conversation. Thank you so much. Hello, is this interview recorded? Yes, it is recorded, Podia. It is online at Hope FM Live. You say
On YouTube.
Yes, on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it because you found us going on late. Okay, you can do that. Thank you so much for the conversation. Mapema ndio best haba na haba hujaza kibaba. Indeed. And you're praying for wisdom. May God give you wisdom in Jesus' mighty name. All right, so let's carry on with our conversation, James. You mentioned something when we were off air about, knowing when to start, when to stop,
Yes.
when to scale.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. And it's a good question, because sometimes we come to a place of maybe you have saved for the last 10 years. And I talked about, I like our teachers. They earn maybe we call them maybe low-income earners. But when I go out there, I realize they are the guys who have the most side hustles, amazingly, because they have the discipline and the consistency with their 9 to 5, putting in something small on the side. And then when that money they have put aside comes over, they're able to start something. But now, what happens when I have started that side hustle? when do I know the right time that it's the right time maybe to scale it, maybe from a circle loan, from a facility from around the market.
Yeah.
And for me, I usually say it's good to look at if the business is consistent and growing and has a growing revenue, I think it's a good place where you realize, by the way, now it's the time to scale it. And these are, I said, between 6 to 8 months, you will have known this business is for success or not. And another thing is it's good to consider high demand and market opportunity. Is it feeding into a demand that is growing? Because there are some businesses that you will realize maybe within where you are so saturated, the demand is, and we are in the market of demand and supply. No matter what we sell, is the market still there? Is the market opportunity still there? And another thing is efficient and sustainable operations. And I think this is a smooth and the way the business is able to run smoothly with your minimum effort. Because there are businesses that require so much of you in it until you realize, by the way, it is no longer sustainable for me. And then another thing is alignment with long-term goals. What goals do you have? And I think when I was talking about goals, financial goal setting, we start into what are my passions, what do I value before actually I put figures into that goal. And out of that, along the way, you realize, by the way, I'm arriving into that goal and I can see the trajectory. How is it moving into achieving that? And then another thing is a proven return on investment. I put in this and this is how much it has made. I put in 100K, but maybe 6-7 months down the line, I can almost track there's maybe 20, 30, 40K along the way. Now you can say, what if now I scale it up to this level?
So,
And then,
so just sorry to cut you short. So what I hear you saying on that is that very important to keep records.
Yes.
Because you need to track.
every business, even in personal finances,
Yeah.
I think the game changer is to start keeping records.
Okay.
What comes in, what goes out. Even if uko sokoni, I remember I was giving an example of my mom. She has gone to be with the Lord recently, I think the past few years. I knew her with a 32-page book, you know, a red one. I can see the color even today.
Yes.
She would record every sale, and she would send me to the bank, go bank this, go bank this. Later, she bought, I think, 3 acres of land in a very premium place.
Okay.
Someone who is a Form 4 dropout. And for me, keeping records, actually, it shows you so clear where are we heading.
Yeah.
So if there are no records, actually, you are.
There's a problem.
There is a big problem, actually. And that's the beginning. I think we should have started there.
Yeah.
So no records, no direction.
No, exactly. There's a better way maybe to put it. So, and this goes into personal finances and everything that we do. Yes.
Okay, sorry, carry on.
Great. And now let's talk about when to drop an income stream. If you realize it's time consuming and low profit, because there are businesses that you can give your, you know, like your 5 hours,
Yeah.
Yes.
and you can say that was worth the 5 hours I put.
Right.
But if you spend a whole 11 hours and at the end of the day you still realize by the this is not going anywhere, it's a time to drop. And I think I was there around 11 years ago. I had a business that it was breaking. I was making profits, but the profit I was making, it wasn't enough to run the costs. The profit was there, yes,
Yeah.
but the profit was, even if I scaled, it wasn't sustainable. And I think I even bought a car for it and all that. I realized by the if I continue this way, I had a small debt somewhere. Let me offset this and then keep on moving. And I think that is what helped me now to venture into another business.
Yeah.
So it's like time versus value of your time.
Okay.
And then another thing is declining revenue or a saturated market. We realized, we talked about Simu ya Jamii or the coil business. Everyone now has it. The market has dived. Can I be able to exit?
Yes.
Let us drop it.
Well,
And-
so some of us hold on thinking that, you know what, let other people drop, then I
Yes.
will be
Then you will
left.
survive.
Yes, then you survive. But now we have to be wise enough, by the way.
Yeah.
I need to let it go. And then let me just try to brainstorm on other things. And then another thing is conflict with the main career or business. Maybe you're into motor vehicle spare parts, you're into maybe grains, you're into this business. Whatever I'm starting, is it now, am I spending so much time and resources and it's eating into the other one? I talked about my 9 to 5,
Yeah.
how I dropped a very good business. But when I looked at the future and everything, I realized, by the way, yes, it's here and it's providing me, you know, like that extra income. But are you wise enough actually to realize it's sucking into every other area of your life? So we need actually to consider that. And also maybe better opportunities elsewhere. Maybe you have realized whatever I'm doing, if I do that other thing, I can maximize my potential on that area. Can I be able now to switch on as quick as possible? And then another thing, maybe to talk about also maybe into partnerships. Sometimes you can realize you have entered into a partnership and you have realized there's no future into the direction that you are moving. Instead of going to a place, maybe it will bring maybe some legal issues and all that. Can you now review as quick as possible before you reach to a place where things are becoming more complicated? Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I don't know how can one then balance
Yes.
all these to a point where it doesn't feel like it's greed or biting more than they can chew.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you've met people who are ready and available to supply you with everything that you need.
Yes. Yes, I know. Yes.
They are plugged for everything. I mean.
Yes, yes, I know. I can provide that. And for me, I think we talked about burning out.
Yes.
Because sometimes our bodies are, every day that we are living, we are not becoming, okay, it's good to say that you can become stronger, but the way life happens, at some point you realize you don't have as much energy as you had. So if I take so much balls on the air, it will reach to a place where you are at your 40s and someone can tell you, you have really you have been grinding, within when you reach to around age 50 or somewhere there, you realize it's working against your health.
Okay.
Because I told you a guy I know that he was sleeping like 3 hours. Anytime you call him at 11, he is available. 4 a.m. you see them putting some statuses and all that about what they are selling and all that. So I think every time we scale a business and it's able to operate independently, delegate, get someone to run with it, train them, and then let it run. Let us just not micromanage, have systems and all that. I have a friend who started now having CCTVs that are live. I can look at my tab and see this is what is happening. Actually, they can call you. What is that client doing there? They are not served. They are at the comfort of their home. They have several businesses running. Maybe I think they have Karen, Kiambu, and they can actually manage whatever they have. You can tell actually they are in a place of peace. They have delegated this aspect, put the systems to make sure people are aware that things are in order. And then you move on now to the next one. I think that way you will be able now to juggle several balls in the air. And then within no time you realize you are moving into financial freedom where money actually is working and you can actually exit the 9 to 5 comfortably without worrying about anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
You said something about loans earlier on. When do you know when to take money, to borrow money? Let me just put it that way, bluntly.
Yes.
For your business, when do you know when to borrow money?
Great. And that's a good question because I usually, the scriptures say that if I borrow you, Sharon, I become your slave.
Yes.
That is so automatic. Yes. So when then is a loan good? And I said, if you realize maybe down the line, the return on investment for your business, it's moving so well, you can actually give a percentage. We say that we are tracking, we are keeping records. You realize, by the way, I'm getting my return on investment so quick. What if now I take it to a higher level or even do another location because you have realized this, the way it's moving, I can take a loan and then start a branch somewhere. For me, that's better than starting with a loan without knowing the direction the business will take. So for me, scaling or going to loans, it's a matter of scaling a business, not starting a business.
Okay.
And also realizing also that do your due diligence. Where can I get cheap loans? When I talked about a loan, I went to a guy who had done so well in business. He can operate with terms to the banks. And he went and told the bank manager, give this guy this money. If he doesn't pay, ask me for the money. And I was given, do you want to pay monthly or at the end of the year? I think at the end of the year. These are loan.
Wow.
Also, do your due diligence. Of course, there's a social capital and all that.
Yes.
But don't just take a loan. I've seen people who take loans up to 20%, interest and all that. Before that money, you make money out of it. It's already it has already sucked into your capital.
Yeah.
Consider where you are picking your loan because eventually it will be so burdensome. and maybe you will be in a blink of even losing a business.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, very much well put. Thank you so much, James. You have only 1 minute to
Oh,
close
my.
it up. Time is never enough, but we create time.
Yeah, sure.
We manage time. So, what would be your final remarks on
Yeah.
this conversation?
Thank you. And I think we are so gifted, and we thank God, because I said when you look inside rather than looking at what is in the market, we realize, by the way, how you are gifted. And out of that, we realize what is the gap in the market. What are people complaining more about? Where can I fill that gap? And I said there are some of the hustles that we will need maybe to seek for a short course. There are some hustles that we will need someone to mentor us, but there is always resources. And I think I've never gone to a place where I can say I've entirely realized I can do nothing. Recently, I went to maybe buy my children's uniform, and I realized, what if I buy these shoes and maybe send it or put it online somewhere? There's always something, like coming up and popping in our minds.
Yeah.
So we cannot entirely say we can never spread our income streams to these 7 areas that we have talked about.
Right.
Because if we are looking for financial freedom, we actually need to supplement whatever river that we are having to have an extra stream.
All right.
Wow.
Yes.
Very insightful conversation. Thank you, James, for coming.
You're welcome.
You have planted a seed.
Yeah.
I hope at the end of the year we'll be seeing a lot of
Harvests.
harvest.
Sure.
Bumper ones for that
Bumper
matter.
Bumper harvest, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and blessings to you. We finish it right here, but God allowing us, we will continue with this conversation another day.
Absolutely.
My name is Sharon Aitore Wangenya.
Favored Frank is my name. Bye-bye.
See you tomorrow.